Well, here we are.
We're here, and it's great to see you two again.
Happy Podcast Club.
Yes.
.tv.
.tv. That's right.
Adam's got new wallpaper. Marcus has a new microphone, and I'm
got new
wearing a
wallpaper?
new shirt.
I got a new front door, too. They installed it today while I was speaking at Podfest. The dog's
Close
barking.
the front door.
A lot of news.
Exactly.
Is it Podfest right now?
Yes. There is
Right, meow.
Right
Meow.
now. I
Yeah.
think it just ended for the day, but it's going on this
in
weekend.
Nashville?
No.
Or are you doing
It's
streaming?
I did virtually. It's like a hybrid thing. They're actually meeting in person in Tampa.
Oh,
But
what'd you talk on?
I talked about streamlining your production process.
Ooh, that's so timely.
Yes.
I am all about streamlining.
Yes.
I am all about
What did you talk
processes.
And processes. Look at this. You're right
Marcus-
on topic. What did you talk about?
Marcus, can you turn your volume up a little bit? I'm really struggling to hear you.
Yes, I'm sorry.
We're gonna get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's see. Is it this side or it's this side? I need to do this. And I need to do this. Okay. Is that
That's
better?
better. For sure.
Okay,
Much
cool.
better. All right.
All right. What did I talk about? What did I talk about? That was
What's
a long
Marcus's
time ago.
top
That
tips
was-
for streamlining your streamlining?
I started off talking about like how to waste time podcasting. What are the biggest time wasters?
We're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
That we know.
Nailed it.
Well, like
Just
improper
solve
microphone
Podcast
technique, just winging it, which
We're good at that too.
yeah, I have to admit that on this show in particular, I have winged it quite a bit.
We got lots of wings here.
Yeah.
We're like Red
That's
Bull
kind of
up
part
in
of
this
our
bitch.
vibe though. But we are trying to be more intentional now. But I talked about, the inverted pyramid. I don't know if you guys know about that with, productivity stuff going this. Sorry, I bumped my mic here. So
No, but fill us in. Come on, Marcus. Come on, tell
man.
us. Come
I
on.
don't
man.
remember.
We're-
I already-
Streamlined, man.
I've
I want to
already
be streamlined.
cleared that out of my brain.
What do you
No,
mean?
I just gave tips on.
He blew the good
in-
surprise on Podfest.
know.
Left no juice for us.
That's right. You got to go buy your ticket so you can watch the replay.
Shit.
No, essentially, it's about investing more time up front in the pre-production process, getting organized, knowing your tools, making sure you have backups for the backups, and communicating with your guests to get the best audio quality possible, knowing how to use your microphone, all that stuff, so that the more time you spend up front, the less time you spend in post-production.
Bing,
But
bang,
then I
boom.
also gave some
Amen.
tips for during the interview for one of the ones that people responded most positively to was if you need to restate something, just pause and say, I'm going to say that again so that there's a clean edit. And I said that that's like the biggest gift my clients give to me is when they give me a clean edit that I can just remove that phrase. So, and then in post-production, I just listed really quick because I was running out of time, like using tools like ClickUp or Trello or Asana,
Trello.
project management tools. We use Trello for this show. Using templates in your DAW, learning the key commands so you can start flying when you're editing, knowing how to just speed things up with the editing process. But you don't want to
cool.
skip the editing process because that's bad for your listeners.
This is true.
All that is sage wisdom.
Sage.
And it's not just about trying to
beard
save
like
you
that.
time. It's trying
Sage.
it's trying to save your listeners' time as well, which we talked about before. So
Yeah, true.
With all those
Short and
unnecessary.
sweet, to the point.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's right. Zahs, pauses,
right.
heavy breathing.
You know, it's simple. It's simple stuff, but you gotta lay it out there sometimes. You kind of gotta like get everyone back in line. We had to do it. We did it to ourselves.
Yeah. And it's all these little things. It's not like one big thing, like just
Yeah.
buy this service and you can save time. It's like all these little things along the way that add up.
Yeah.
Well, so your timing is excellent because what I've been thinking a lot about in this last week and what I want to talk about today is systems and developing
Nice.
systems for whether it's your podcast or your podcast business. But really having systems in place that actually make sense and are streamlined. And like not just saying that, but like actually creating systems that work and have as few steps in them as possible, because it's the only way that you can ever really scale, right? And like ultimately we all want to scale, whether that's recording more podcast episodes or growing your business, right? And if you don't have a system, so, even within your business, I recently had an experience where, working with a vendor and their onboarding process was non-existent, but their onboarding fee was very expensive. And it was just such a good reminder that like, if you don't have a system in place, like it is really difficult in your customer journey for your customers to feel like they're getting any value, right? So from the customer side of things, right? So if you have a podcast business and you don't have like a front-facing system that you can show your clients, you're going to have a significant percentage of increased conversations and questions about the content. Where is this? What's happening with that? Because it's such an ethereal thing, right? Like if you don't know what we're doing with your podcast, right? If you don't really know how the sausage is made, I hate that fucking term. And you're not seeing any evidence of it, then number one, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal for somebody else to do it. And you're always going to be disappointed on expectations. But when you have a system in place, right? Like we create custom Trello boards, we have onboarding meetings, we show them how to use the Trello board, we explain to them the process. And like a lot of times they don't even really use the Trello board, but they like to know that we have a system in place. They can see the episodes moving, they can put their team or interns in there, and it makes sense, right? And then the more advanced clients are really active in the Trello, comment on the right cards, tag the staff, and have really grown to love that. But it's just so important. So whether it's like editing podcasts, running a podcast business, or even just recording a podcast yourself, creating a workflow on Trello or Asana or ClickUp or whatever your jam is, but like you have to systemize your process. You have to systemize it because number one, if not, then you are going to be the only one that's going to know how to do it. And so Alan Dibb says in the one-page marketing plan, if you can't leave your business for 6 months and come back and have a business, then you just have an expensive hobby, not a business.
That's good.
And I was like, damn, because it's really hard to leave your business for 6 months and still have a business, right? But that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. If not, you are the business. You don't have a business. You are the business, And so you have to make sure that you're able to systematize things so that you can step out of that and go get more clients, right? Or go record more episodes or go be on more podcasts and not be so bogged down. So, from the strategy of the podcast, to the strategy of how you're going to edit things, to the strategy of how you're going to produce, whatever it is, right? You got to start. Like I did Blue Apron a couple years ago, and you know how they give you like exactly enough stuff, and the instructions are like cut the onions, cut the and they have you.
They're terrible.
I'm like, wow, this is how you're supposed to cook. That makes
fresh person.
So much sense, but. And then you feel like a real chef with your little bowls of salt and pepper and shit, and your little half a cup of red pepper, whatever. But like, I learned a lot about cooking, and it also really reinforced the value of being prepared before you start something. Because I'm definitely somebody who's like closing the door while running out of it. You know what I mean? Like, I jump right in before I know all the facts. So it's it's just that you have to have a system. You have to have your expectations communicated. You have to have a plan. And that way, that's the only way you can scale. It's the only way you can bring anybody else into your business or your editing process or your whatever it might be. But systems are so important. And so many people are really intimidated by systems.
Yeah.
And even at even the most basic, just recording the podcast, just knowing what the hell you're going to go into, what you're going to talk about, how it's going to go, you as the host or whatever. Otherwise, you're just floundering around for a couple hours, and you're going to have to chop the shit out of that thing to make it something that someone's going to listen to. So, at every aspect of it, 100%.
Yeah, man. I love systems. I love Trello. I love systems. I love automations. I love Zapier. I love all of that shit, man. So much. Too much. No, never too much. I love it.
No, never too much.
Never too much.
The more you can do this with shit, the better.
Yeah, man. So, and I'm in this mastermind, right, with two guys that own podcast businesses. And so we've all like kind of looked behind the curtain to see how everybody's doing it. And it's like very drastically different processes. Really? And some of them are like 96 steps and some of them are like 4, right? So it's just really interesting to see like, you know, people really overthink things. You know, everybody does everything differently. So it's like, what are you really trying to accomplish? And then is there a faster, easier way? I mean, I don't know. Reading all these books these last couple years, one of the biggest things that like stuck with me is take the fastest path to the money. And so, you know, if you're creating an automation, you should get the fastest point is to the end of the automation. So you shouldn't have, if you're creating a Zap and Zapier, there shouldn't be 6 steps in that thing. If not, like you're completely missing the point of the Zap. You are circling the drain, literally overcomplicating things. So I think that's why people find it super overwhelming. But sometimes you just got to take a step back, especially when you're creating automations. You really got to be like, okay, all right. Let me think.
But I love overcomplicating things. I mean, look at
who, you, Marcus? No way, get out of here.
The secret is that a lot of it's just for show. That Marcus really has a very streamlined process.
That's right.
He just makes it look like he's very busy.
Right.
I really only used a Yeti.
Yeah, right.
Marcus is over here like
there it is. So if there was one tip, that our one listener can take from this, to streamline your shit, like what's your tip?
Well, you got to really map out what are the things that you're doing. You know what I mean? And you can do that on a piece of paper. You don't need fancy software to do that. You know what I mean? Like what happens? Like you sell, then what happens? Okay, then you edit, and then what happens? You send it to the client, and then what happens? Right? You have to really know all of that. I mean, it's also like knowing your numbers, right? If you don't know what all those steps are and how much they cost, then you know how to price your stuff. But that's next week, you know. But like just really figuring out what are the steps and then seeing which ones could be eliminated and then which ones could be consolidated and which ones and then everything has to be able to be duplicated. So it's really simplicity wins. You know, simplicity always wins.
Yeah.
Always. And one thing I'd say about that is you gotta go back and review it after a couple weeks and see if it was working. There have been plenty of things. When we started Podcast Outfitters, I had step-by-step manuals and all these things for all these bundles, and that wasn't why people were buying this shit. So we stopped doing the bundles. Like people can figure this stuff out. Like it wasn't adding. It was a lot of effort to make an incredible. I was very proud of these things, but it took us hours to make them, and wasn't what people were talking about. You know what I mean? So like, okay, ditch them and build more bundles. Like that's what they needed. That's what the customer needed. So just because you think it's the right idea, oh man, this is a really sharp step in my process. The people are going to love this shit. Like, no, maybe not. You got to go back and analyze it, and you have to have some sort of metric or something to be able to tell you. And you might not know. There might not be a metric that you think that there is, like in the beginning, but you'll know once you do it. You have steps in the process that you're doing. You just got to be able to go back and review it and say, nah, I gotta weave left instead of right on this one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exacto.
And when it comes to the audio production process side of things, the most frustrating conversations I think I have is with the people that are just rigid in the tools that I've always been using this. I've always been using Audacity, so I just have to stick with Audacity because that's all I know. It's like there's so many great tools, so many great plugins, so many great microphones coming out all the time. You know, computers are constantly evolving now. I've got this Mac M1 Mini, you know, and there's just one of the things is like Windows. I can't switch from Windows to Mac, you know, and I can understand the effort that it takes when you're so used to something, but with a lot of specific things, there are huge payoffs to it, and sometimes Windows is better for some people. But I don't want to get into that whole discussion.
We're not going there.
Android, Team Android.
But let's do none of that. But I think that it goes back to what Marcus was saying also in the beginning of the whole thing. It's just like the more you can systemize your stuff to what you're saying also, Molly, you don't want, like, people hate to change. People hate to like do anything that's outside their comfort zone. So you want your customer to feel none of it. They should have no clue. Like, they should know that you're doing all these really cool things behind the scenes that make this work.
Right.
They should feel none of that. They should just watch it happen and be amazed.
Yeah.
And in any one of the things that both of you just mentioned, it should have nothing to do with the customer. Like, it's all for the customer. It should have nothing to do with them at all. They shouldn't feel it. People hate to do new shit.
Well, so and that gets to the point that I had originally thought when I was listening to you talk, is that so many of the editors, at least the podcast editors, are doing what is best for themselves instead of what's best for their client or what's best especially for the listener. And that, like, what you just nailed it right there. It's like keeping in mind who you're doing this stuff for. It's not just about you.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm going to throw a little
I know where you're going.
lettuce into the bowl here.
Go there, Molly.
I think that there's a lot of podcast editors who are doing too much and not considering themselves at all and undervaluing themselves and spending way too many fucking hours and not stepping up. Like, they're not thinking about themselves at all. It's like, I think the opposite. I think it depends on who you're talking to. But I mean, I know about 1,500 women podcast editors that are like definitely not being even nearly selfish enough in the way that they're, like, in talking about systems. Like, you should never do custom work because you can't scale it, you can't systematize it, and they're all doing custom work for each one of their clients. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
but I
some
think
of them,
it goes back to the same thing. Like, it still goes back. Like, appreciate who your customer is. You should have a system. Not to say to overwork or do anything else. You should have a system that, like, you should make your shit as simple as possible.
To be able to scale, you have to, like you're saying, you have to have a very super streamlined system, especially when it comes to editing.
Every single time.
But here's the thing that it breaks my heart to see, because you're right. There are these people that are just wearing themselves out. Like, when I see them post things like, I should be editing right now, it's like, no, we're not doing this. We're not living to edit.
Paid for it.
Right. So my approach, I've had so many people tell me, you need to hire a team. You need to, you got to scale your thing so you can make millions of dollars. Like, I don't want to scale my thing. I know I'm a bad manager. I know I like to push buttons. And I know I have found enough clients that can pay me top dollar to do the ultimate thing. There's no way I could scale what I'm doing right now, and I'm not trying to. So that's the thing.
We'll work on that next season, Marcus.
What I do want to scale is the training program, and that's a different side of my business, almost a separate business, but it's just tied to me as who I am as an audio engineer. So that's the tough thing. It's like finding that balance between what can I handle, what do I, and it's, again, like you said, it's all systems, and it's really tough, and especially because podcasting is what we do, the creative side of it is so undervalued. And
because it's not witnessed. It's just like, you don't, until you've ever been a bartender or a server, you don't totally understand why you should tip 25-30% every single time you go out. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't get it. Just like lots of things that we've never done before that we don't appreciate that people do for us all the time, like empty septic tanks and terrible things, right? So I think I mean, I don't know. I think everybody should just really dial in on their skills, dial in on their systems, and just work with clients who are going to appreciate them, and then just keep it moving on everybody else. But you got to have a system.
Yep.
Do you both have a tool that you use that has been like the ultimate thing or what's like been the one most meaningful tool that's helped you streamline your shit?
Trello.
Yeah.
If you saw my Trello workspace,
I knew you were going to say Trello because you call the hell out of it, and I'm all about it.
ClickUp for me. We just switched from Asana to ClickUp, and Jen uses it way more than I do.
Is ClickUp like another Trello, like a Trello?
It is.
People like ClickUp, but not Trello, so I can't fucking.
I use
It's not Trello.
People like it.
Planner, which is a way more boring version of Trello.
It's
Yeah.
Microsoft's version of that.
Way more boring, but because everything I do is Microsoft, like it works. But something
It's
like
task
that, like
management. It's
task
essentially
management.
on steroids.
You know.
But
Well, for me,
virtual
it's all about the
sticky notes.
customer experience. You know what I'm saying? And so, and the employee experience. Like I design a custom board for each client, and I make it pretty, and I use their colors and their fonts and their logo on
please
it.
show one of your show our Trello board for in this video because it's the shit.
yeah.
It is the ultimate. I look at it and I'm like, damn, like we are not that put together, but we are that put together because Molly
that's because I'm
made it look that
producing
way.
it,
I
okay?
know,
Right.
I know that.
But see,
and I'm
this
looking
also
at it right now.
speaks to your service that you provide for your clients that are different from the type of clients that I'm serving.
No.
Yes.
No.
So hold on.
Because
Hold
I'm
on.
also
Let me finish.
producing
Let me
for like
finish.
the Department of Defense and like other people. No. There's no difference between your clients and my clients. No.
Yes.
No, there's
yes, there is.
No, there's not. Not when it comes to the service being provided, a monetary exchange, and the customer journey. There's nothing different between what you and I do.
Well, the
Counterpoint
difference
markets.
is I'm not providing a Trello board for them. That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
that's you might want to consider that.
I have
ClickUp board.
tried. I have tried with some of my clients, and they don't use it. They do not use it.
Well,
So
here's the
I'm not
thing.
going to waste my valuable time making something that is now. That's what I'm saying.
Here's counterpoint. I'm not making it for them. I'm making it for my team. All right, so I'm going to do a screen
Different.
share. Okay.
Different.
Okay. That also happens to strengthen the customer journey and experience because they have something legitimate. Okay. Can you see the screen? Can you see my Trello board?
It's
No.
still spinning.
It's like
while you're
circling,
pulling that
right?
up, while you're pulling that up, I have a question for you, Marcus. How do you communicate with your clients?
I essentially, because I like one of my clients, I am in their Asana. They already have their whole marketing system, so I'm using their platform. With the other clients, it's email. Like I know that they are not going to create a ClickUp account to join another ClickUp page.
Not with that attitude, that's for sure. All right, so listen, this is okay. I'm really proud of this, and I've been working on this for a long time. This is the master like works template. So when you set up, we want to start a podcast with us. You do the works. It's about $3,000. We set everything up for you, and we create a board. And this is the template, right? So when we're doing all the onboarding, it's over here, all the pre-production. What is their plan, the onboarding session, the focus session, timeline of events, their WordPress credentials, social media setup, like, all the YouTube, everything is all in here. And then we have the branding column. So everything that we design for them goes over here. Their branding guidelines are here, podcast logo, templates, everything. And it all gets attached here. And then if the client says, hey, I don't really like that YouTube thumbnail, they can talk right to John, who's working on it. And then I have templates and scripts. So once we get through all the onboarding and get everything set up, those 3 columns get put to the end, and then this is the workflow. So each client has their own template based on what it is that they've ordered. Everything is systematized, so it's only a couple different options they could have. And then each episode moves down, right? So what's great about this, though, is I can add team members. So, I've got this is Empower Me. This is the Atlantic Council and the Middle East Center. This is their back end, right? Everything is here. And then I brand it with their colors based on their logos. And then all their previous episodes are here. So some of them, in the beginning, didn't really use it all that much, but now they all do because it's so much easier. And then I brand it for them. I put these title cards on it. But it's all coming from a template, and then everything lives there, and you can add team members onto it. Then your team members are talking to my team members, and it just simplifies the whole process. But more importantly, when someone gives me that amount of money, and they meet with me, and then I share with them this board that has their colors and they're like, okay, this was worth it. It was worth spending this money. I see a tangible results from the money that I've paid. And I think that's really hard to prove in podcasting because so much of what we're doing isn't necessarily tangible to the client. They're not seeing the hours of editing. They're not seeing the plugins. They're not seeing all the branding. They're not seeing 5 or 6 different people working on your one episode. So they don't understand why that one little edit can't be done in the next 3 hours. They don't understand rendering, right? But when they see this, and they see all this work that overwhelms them, all it does is make them glad that they've hired me. So it is customer retention, but then more importantly, I bring all my team onto there and they move the episodes through the board. And they also like working on pretty boards all day. They would much rather be working in my Trello boards than in Google Drive and in email. If you think about how many hours of your life have you spent searching through emails trying to find the thing that they said, when you could just open up Trello, open the episode, and find the client's comment right there. And so they are hesitant at first, but once they understand, they're like, can you do this on our Asana? I'm like, no, I'm not moving my entire staff to your Asana board. Sorry.
Right.
Like, no, it's not. Like, we're doing the work. It's like the car wash. We're the car wash. You're inside on the window side looking in, but you're seeing the work happening. And I think that has done wonders for my client retention and just for that immediate, like, this was a good decision. Because so often when you're a business owner, you hire consultants or writers or people and you pay all this money and then it's just like tumbleweed. And you're like, what did I just... you had this huge sales pitch and all this. So what did I get? And if I didn't create that board to show them all of that. And then the other thing is it eliminates them asking, can I have my logo? Yeah, it's on the board, bitch. Everything it's on the board. And it only takes about 3 of those emails being like, yep, everything's on the board. Everything's on the board. And eventually they figure it out. And that cuts down on my labor costs.
Right. For you, it was a way to streamline. That was your method. And it's all about, for what I do, it's not about Trello boards and what it totally depends. What Marcus does totally depends. So it's all about finding that linchpin that helps you streamline it. We use mostly my job is like logistics and fulfillment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's aside from like people like getting gear in and getting out to the right customer and making sure that everyone knows where their stuff is. So we use ShipStation, which is a tool that it's, in a sense, it's kind of like Trello, everything's color coded and I know exactly where shipment is and the process of everything. And this pink means out of stock and green means it's shipped out the door. So like if customer calls like, oh yeah, no, your thing's going to ship today. It's not 5 o'clock yet. Like it hasn't shipped yet or not. So it's all about finding that one tool or that one strategy or that one thing that helps you keep your shit together, that helps you deliver that experience to the customer, no matter who they are. Whether you're the host and you use OneNote, maybe you use Notes, whatever it is, whatever keeps your shit straight. Maybe it is email, but you have a way of organizing it. So there's always some element of streamlining that happens, no matter which side, the editing, no matter which side of this whole process of the podcast that you're on. There's got to be something to keep your shit straight. That's even like when I'm interviewing people to be on a team. It's like, what do you use to keep your shit straight? Like, do you even think about that, or do you just kind of like spin around and get shit done? Like, you might be good, but that's not good. Valuable. Like
Facebook Messenger.
Right.
I was dealing with somebody with that this week. I'm like,
but you know what?
Can we at least email about this?
I'm so bad at Facebook Messenger. But like, okay, if that's how you work, then you better find a way to make that work. But like, it's about finding those tools. It could be paper. When I go to a trade show, I bring my schedule on a piece of paper.
Right.
So I don't trust that I'm going to have phone, like whatever. Like that just works.
Right.
Right. I'm not going to open my phone every 10 seconds and make another note somewhere else. Like it's not efficient. Scroll it down and move on. Like it's what it is. So it's all about finding whatever tool is going to help you solve that job and make it efficient.
And with there's a lot of value of your system that would also work for me. However, I am not doing branding. I'm not doing website. I'm not doing YouTube. I'm just doing like one piece of the 15 things that you're providing for all these people.
I need that system.
Yes, you would not be able to function without it.
Exactly. And there's like there's a process. It moves down the line, and each one of those columns is a different department. Audio, video, copywriting, SEO, branding.
I'm just doing one piece of all the services that you're doing. So, yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Go.
One, actually, they're both for Marcus.
Damn it.
Sorry, Molly. What was the vibe at Podfest? What's the podcast industry feeling like right now?
I always love Podfest because it's more of a lot more people know each other, even with the virtual thing. It's like people show up in the chat like, hey, there's a lot more of this back and forth than it is like just a form. There are formal presentations going on, like I was just talking, but people are reacting in the comments and stuff. And, Wendy was hosting this time, and in the past, Chris has hosted. I'm sure he's hosting the in-person thing. Andrew's always he was on screen before I started my presentation. So it's like a family gathering, essentially. Like it just feels more friendly and less kind of corporate, less businessy. And it's just always enjoyable to see people. There's always new people. A lot of the same questions over and over again, like, what should I use, a dynamic or condenser microphone? Like, I feel like we've answered this already, but anyway, and I don't get to hang out as much as I used to, like just they've got that Hoova app, which to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of. It's kind of clunky compared to just walking around a space, but it is like they've partnered with them. It's
not bad for being a virtual trade show. Like it's not so bad.
It's kind of hard to once you figure it out. It's fine.
It's a lot. It's like it's a lot of stimulation. It's like Twitter on acid and steroids at the same time. You're like, what the hell? And you're in and out of these rooms, and there's threat. I can't keep up with that shit, but I can't keep up with Twitter either. So
yeah. So anyway, it's always fun. I always enjoy. I don't participate as much. I don't go to as many of the sessions as I want to, but I'll say hi to people that I know, that are there, and I'll try to see what I can catch just in the app and that sort of thing.
Is it busy? Is it a lot of people?
It's always hard to tell. Like you can see the number of attendees. Like I think there was over 400. No, I don't even remember. There were hundreds of attendees, so I think the turnout was pretty good. And then they did the in-person thing too. So this is like going on concurrently. I don't even know.
That's pretty good,
yeah.
That's good.
So,
question 2 is, what the hell are you talking into?
This is a condenser microphone.
But what is it?
It is the Tula. The Tula.
We've talked about this.
Yes, that's right.
This is one in the flesh.
Yes, and
it's got a cool design. It's got a very Alien versus Predator design there. Or like Wally.
So you can say whatever you want because I don't sell that, so you can say whatever you want.
You looked into it just for me, and then they wanted you to stock too many of them.
Well, it's consumer, like I Master Pack. They're small, so I get it. But like, talk to me. Like, let's talk about it. Agnostic of me selling them or whatever. Like, what's the deal? What's Tula about?
The appeal of it to me is this form factor. I think it's sexy as hell. Like, and I'm thinking of my corporate clients that don't want.
How's it made? Like, is it like
on their desk?
Is it like a good piece of metal? Like
it is. It's all metal. It's like the finishing is great. The buttons are real clicky. It is not heavy at all. That's one of the problems. It's like super super light and not well. The handling noise is
get knocked over really easily.
Yeah. So I got this. So it comes with, where did I put it? Shoot. There it is. It comes with this little stand here. And this is picking up everything because it's a condenser. I'm used to my dynamic mics. But it has this little twist off thing. It comes with this adapter for a mic stand.
Oh, God.
Sorry for the noise. But it stores like this, and then you just flip it around and it sits on the table. But I've got my USB cable. I did a right angle thing on it.
Oh, this is a bad design.
Well, it's so God.
It's only because Marcus made his own cable. and ruined
Well,
it.
I did make it a right angle thing. I can't unplug it, but this is way too far away. If this is sitting on the desk down here, that's like way too far away. So I made this little.
It sounds like your laptop microphone.
Exactly. Exactly. So, the stand it comes with is.
Do that? Why do they make a stand?
That's why I got to give credit to Apogee for dropping in this gigantic stand for this little microphone.
You should just mute yourself, Marcus, for a second.
Yeah, seriously. Heathen. At least it made this mic useful out the box. Like it's at the right height. Like
right.
I got to lean into the desk just because like you got to be in the right spot for the microphone.
Right.
But it doesn't matter what microphone you're at. You can't be that far away from a microphone anyway and have it sound good.
Right.
Especially in like a room that's not treated. So like it is what it is.
They set people up for failure with that shit.
But the Tula, why Tula versus another USB microphone? Like what's the deal? What's the pitch?
The selling point of this, besides the form factor, the first selling point that's in the marketing, I'll get to that first, and then I'll go to the pedigree after that. You can record internally. It has 8 gigabytes of storage inside.
Cool.
You can hook a lapel mic to this, and I was told via email, so you could stick this in your pocket and do like a video recording thing with lapel mic. The firmware update that's coming, you're going to be able to record both the internal condenser and the lapel mic on separate tracks, which is cool.
2-channel.
Yes. Cool. So that's kind of handy. But the main thing for me, besides the form factor and the price, $229 for this. It's made by a company called Soyuz, which is a Russian company.
Oh, is it?
Yes. Soyuz is a super high-end studio condenser.
Nice.
Yes. Like
they're real nice.
$1,200 for their FET condenser and then $3,600 for the tube condenser. They look really cool. We'll have pictures of it on screen.
They're cool.
Tula is actually the name of the town where their factory is outside of Moscow. So it has that pedigree. I wonder how much this is like the pencil condensers that Soyuz makes, because that capsule it's only this big. It's not a large diaphragm condenser, but it's probably about the same size as what you're talking into.
I'll tell you that is way cooler than in my ADD level of consuming marketing content. I did not pick that up. And that makes it way cooler for
that's the thing.
An
and
audio
I said
nerd like
it's
me.
not on the website anywhere that they're part of Soyuz. But I saw a Facebook ad that said brought to you by the people from Soyuz. I'm like, I got to check this out because they make kick-ass microphones.
Maybe that microphone would be good on a boom arm if you could put it right up on your face, right? And off the desk.
Here's the thing, though. It does not come with a pop. Oh,
Jesus,
that pop.
This
pops too, though.
Yes.
No popping.
This pops worse than yours.
Yeah. The only thing popping over here is my lip gloss. Okay, I'm not wearing any. Just kidding. But
so that is the other reason why I'm sending this back is I did a firmware update, which you just drag it onto like the little USB drive thing that shows up, and it allowed me to use it as a listening device so I can hear you from it, because when you first plug it in, all you can hear is yourself. But then I could
face.
Yeah. And so but then once I did the firmware update, it wouldn't let me hear myself. I could hear you, but I couldn't hear myself. And then I figured out, wait, if I hit record, then I can hear myself. But I don't need to hear record because we're recording in Riverside. But I am recording this too, so that I can do a comparison between this and the Riverside.
It's a cool idea. Though. I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like the way of the Wireless Go 2.
Yeah,
same thing, where it can be its own recorder and microphone.
Yeah,
and plug in for a similar price point, it'd be interesting to compare. I feel like that's the closest comparison is the Rode Wireless Go 2, which is like. You would never think they're close, but for $299 to $229 for 2 microphones, wireless and recorders, and versus that, it'd be interesting to compare the audio quality.
That's what I was going to say. I don't feel like I would want to compare them because the Rode Wireless Go are omnidirectional, super tiny electret. This is a larger like studio condenser.
It does, I mean, it
that's
doesn't
cardioid.
sound. It doesn't sound half bad for being,
For
And how much
condenser.
was
for being a USB mic.
$229. Yeah.
Interesting to compare. I wonder who sounds. I can't really tell yet, but who sounds. This is
Because you don't have a headphone jack.
This is. I have a headphone jack on this.
Oh, you do?
This is $299. Normally $249 right now.
I don't want to type on the keyboard.
And this one
because
is
the mic's gonna pick it up.
$249, right?
$249.
Yes, and yours, Molly, is $249.
Interesting. So we're all using similarly priced
Yes.
microphones, but clearly I sound the best.
I personally like your sound the best, but I'm a huge fan of dynamic mics. So
this one's $349.
Whoa. Apogee
I don't
stuff's
think it's
always
worth it.
super high
Apogee
dollar.
stuff is always
Because they got the high-end converters and stuff.
High-end.
That is another thing. I can hear that the electronics inside are not quite as high quality as the actual microphone itself, because there's a little bit of a time delay. Even though I'm plugged straight in, it's not zero latency. It's going through some kind of processing chip, and I'm not happy about that either.
I'll tell you what, for all those manufacturers out there, just add just add some weight to your microphone for no other reason than to make it feel heavy, because man, does that make you feel good when you pick it up?
It does.
Well, like the iPhone too, you know, the new one.
More weight,
Yeah.
definitely equates to more better.
It's true.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
better.
It's true.
It's true.
It's just
Like
what
the
it is.
Blue Yeti, most of it is just like alloy metal. It's like it's just
Feels
added
light.
weight for no reason.
Feels like the junk that it is, but
Burn.
this
it's got a
this
trash
guy,
on
I can barely lift it. It's so heavy.
Is it heavy?
I can feel the quality.
Yeah.
The Rode Pod mic weighs like 1 trillion pounds.
Yeah.
Instantly, you're like, oh yeah,
This is good.
this is good.
Dude, did you see what Shure has now?
What?
With the custom color microphone, so you can pick.
They've been doing it with colorware for a minute.
Okay.
With
fine.
other
It's
microphones
cool.
though. Yeah.
It's super cool. They had one on display at She Podcast, and it was pretty
It's
lit.
cool.
Cool.
I would totally get like a hot pink, just like the
It
arm
ain't
right here.
cheap,
Right.
but it's cool.
I can
Nothing-
customize that for you, Molly. Some spray paint.
Can't, I can do that too. What the hell am I
Colorware
talking about?
or
Jesus
Marcus
Christ.
Incorporated.
Yeah, it'll only cost me $1,000 to ship it to you. Get it back.
Costa Rica, and maybe
That
get
is
it
one
back
other bonus.
sometime.
Never
of
get.
this
I never
is
got
that-
the thing you sent me.
Did you
Oh,
really
really?
never get it?
Never got
man.
it.
These come in cool colors too. There's like a pink and a teal and a black, and then this cream.
They
colored
did.
one.
They did
So,
do that.
Yeah.
They did do that.
That's smart though.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting product. I'm curious to hear how it sounds, how you feel once you're done with the recording. Because
Yeah. I wish
product.
I wish it had a little tweaks. I had a little exchange with the service guy about it.
Oh, spicy.
Yeah. But he did reply like immediately, which was a huge bonus for me.
That's good.
And he sent me a firmware update that was supposed to fix the problem, and then it didn't fix it. So,
Just shouldn't use firmware update.
but he said the bigger firmware update, it's definitely going to fix this coming out later this month. So they're working on it.
Well, guys,
Well, Molly,
we did it.
We did it. went around the world and back.
We sure
right.
did.
Yeah.
We sure did.
Gear, production, process.
dropping the truth
Processes.
bombs.
Just truth bombs left and right
That's right. Podcast Club at its finest.
at its finest.
At its finest.
Catch us next time for more truth bombs.
That's right. Peace.
Podcast Club out.